In ancient Rome, a single fire burned at the city's heart, the sacred flame of Vesta, goddess of the hearth. This eternal flame was the soul of Rome. As long as it burned, the city would endure. Its extinction meant disaster, a belief held by every Roman. The keepers of this fire were the Vestal virgins, priestesses chosen as children sworn to 30 years of service. Their duty: tend the flame, safeguard Rome's spiritual well-being, and embody the city's purity. Vestals enjoyed rare privileges for women, but their lives were marked by strict rules and immense pressure. Chosen between ages 6 and 10, they left their families for a life of honor and sacrifice. They lived together in luxury and isolation, their lives dedicated to the state, not to family. The Vestals were more than caretakers, they were living symbols of Rome's pact with the gods. Their prayers were believed to hold special power, and their presence reassured the city of divine favor. In a male-dominated world, they held unique influence as spiritual mothers of Rome. But with this honor came a chilling burden. The city's fate rested on their shoulders. The Vestal story is one of duty, privilege, and the ever-present threat of ruin for any failure. Their lives were a paradox, revered yet vulnerable, powerful yet always at risk. The sacred flame was both their charge and their curse. The core of a Vestal's life was her vow of chastity, a sacred contract binding her purity to Rome's survival. For 30 years, she was to remain untouched, her virtue seen as the city's shield. If she kept her vow, Rome would prosper. If not, disaster loomed. Their days were governed by ritual, tending the flame in shifts, never letting it die. If the fire went out, it was a dire omen, and the responsible Vestal faced harsh punishment. Beyond the flame, they prepared sacred offerings and guarded holy relics, tasks only they could perform. Their service was divided into 3 decades: learning, performing, and teaching. After 30 years, a Vestal could leave and marry, but most remained, unable to return to a world they barely remembered. The vow of chastity was a crushing responsibility. Breaking it was not just a personal failing, it was treason against Rome and the gods. The city's fate was believed to rest on the purity of a few women. A single transgression could bring famine, plague, or defeat. The Vestals lived with the knowledge that their bodies were the battleground for Rome's destiny. Their burden was immense, their failure unthinkable. The purity of one woman was tied to the fate of millions. In Rome, the line between personal and public was erased for the Vestals. Into this world stepped Licinia, a Vestal of noble birth, chosen as a child for a life of sacred duty. For years she upheld her role, living under constant scrutiny as a symbol of Roman virtue. But in 114 BC, rumors of scandal erupted. 3 Vestals, including Licinia, were accused of breaking their vow. The charge: secret lovers, a betrayal that threatened Rome's very soul. Licinia was accused of an affair with Marcus Antonius, a prominent orator and ancestor of Mark Antony. The accusation came from a slave, Manius, whose testimony was extracted under torture. In Rome, such claims could not be ignored, no matter how dubious. The Pontifex Maximus, Rome's chief priest, was compelled to investigate. The trial was not just about personal guilt, it was a test of Rome's spiritual integrity. The city buzzed with fear and outrage, convinced that the gods' favor was at stake. Licinia's fate became a public obsession, her life a symbol of Rome's anxiety. The Vestal's trial was a trial for the soul of the city itself. The outcome would determine whether Rome could restore its sacred order. For Licinia, the weight of centuries of tradition now pressed down with lethal force. Her story was about to become a cautionary tale for all of Rome. The crime of breaking the Vestal vow was the gravest sin in Rome. It was seen as a rupture in the city's bond with the gods, a threat to thee. Any misfortune, plague, defeat, disaster could be blamed on a Vestal's impurity. The trial was a public spectacle led by the College of Pontiffs. A guilty verdict meant the city was polluted. Only severe punishment could restore order. In Licinia's case, only Aemilia was convicted at first. Licinia and Marcia were acquitted. But the public was unsatisfied, convinced of a cover-up. Outcry forced a new investigation driven by fear and the need for a scapegoat. The fate of Licinia and Marcia was sealed by panic, not evidence. Rome demanded a sacrifice to cleanse itself of imagined corruption. The acquittal of Licinia and Marcia sparked outrage. Romans saw omens everywhere: lightning, deformed animals, rumors of defeat, proof of divine anger. Public pressure led to a new court, bypassing religious authorities for a harsher verdict. The trial became a ritual of purification, not a search for truth. Licinia's fate was decided by hysteria, not justice. The city needed scapegoats to restore its sense of safety. Licinia and Marcia were swiftly found guilty. The verdict was a public act of atonement meant to appease the gods. For Licinia, it was a death sentence. The city's fear demanded a terrible price. The punishment would be as symbolic as it was cruel. The punishment for a guilty Vestal was burial alive, a ritual both horrifying and symbolic. The execution took place at the Campus Celeratus, the field of wickedness, a scar on Rome's landscape. Vestals were sacred, their blood could not be shed, so they were entombed instead. On execution day, the condemned was paraded through silent crowds, a living funeral. At the field, a small underground chamber awaited, a tomb with meager provisions. Bread, water, oil, and a lamp were left, a token gesture to claim the state had not killed her. The ritual was designed to absolve Rome of direct guilt, leaving her fate to the gods. The procession was a warning. This is the price of angering the divine. The silence of the crowd was a testament to the city's collective shame and fear. The burial was not just punishment, it was a public exorcism. The city hoped to bury its sin along with the Vestal. The ritual was as much for the living as for the condemned. Rome's survival, it was believed, depended on this act. The field of wickedness became a symbol of the city's darkest fears. Licinia's final moments were a descent into terror. Led to the underground chamber, she faced her tomb alone, surrounded by the men who condemned her. The Pontifex Maximus offered a final prayer, dedicating her to the gods below. She descended the ladder, leaving behind the world of the living. The chamber was cold, the air thick with earth and dread. The ladder was pulled up, the entrance sealed with earth and stone. Darkness closed in, broken only by the flicker of a dying lamp. Above, the city returned to uneasy silence, believing the ritual had restored order. Licinia was left to die slowly, starvation, thirst, and suffocating blackness her only companions. Her death was meant to erase her, to purge the city's fear. The ritual was a chilling testament to Rome's belief in sacrifice. Licinia's fate was a warning to all. The gods demanded purity, and the price was absolute. In the end, she was abandoned by her city, her people, and her gods. Licinia's burial was more than punishment. It was a city-wide ritual of purification. Rome believed her death would restore balance and appease the gods. The men accused as her lovers faced public flogging, their blood shed to complete the sacrifice. The executions were meant to warn and to cleanse, reinforcing the link between religion and state. For Romans, law and faith were inseparable. A crime against the gods was a crime against the city. The trial and execution were state-sponsored rites, not mere legal proceedings. The Vestal's purity was seen as the foundation of Rome's security. When that purity was questioned, the response was swift and brutal. The city's survival was believed to depend on these acts of extreme piety. Licinia's story reveals the terrifying power of belief in shaping justice and cruelty. Licinia's fate exposes the dark side of Roman piety. Rome's greatness was built on fear as much as faith. Fear that a single woman's failure could doom an empire. The Vestal's honor made them vulnerable, their lives public property. A rumor could destroy them, their bodies sacrificed to calm a panicked city. Licinia became a pawn in a drama of superstition and power. Her story is a warning about the dangers of collective belief and the cruelty it can justify. The Romans saw themselves as saviors, not executioners acting to save their world.